Hi, I'm Chris Williams, and I'm a program consultant in the Office of Assessment and Accountability. And today I'm going to talk to you about the 2025 fall reporting. We're going to start with module number 1, which is Data Review Quality Control QC. Let's begin. There are 2 module trainings for fall reporting. Data Review QC is for elementary, middle, and high school staff to review. Then we have cohort and post-secondary readiness score QC, which is just for high schools only. So we're doing our fall reporting module trainings just a little bit different than we have in the past. So let's move to our agenda. For our agenda, you'll see all the things we're going to cover today. Now, let's talk about SDRR because we always, people always ask, what are dates and when are we going to do things in SDRR and what events are we going to do? So I have created a slide for you of SDRR year at a glance. And it goes through from January all the way to a fall data review. And it kind of talks about what you're going to do each month. You'll notice that I do have highlighted here for you August. August is when we're doing data review, and this is the last time to make individual changes to the student data prior to public reporting. So you want to make sure that you are doing due diligence to go in and make any changes if necessary. Now, why do we need the fall data review process? Well, like I said, it's your last and final opportunity to review and modify data before it's publicly released. This time, it is a short and focused review of your accountability. You're going to look at your 100-day students with accountability. You're going to look at all your demographics. And demographics are your first name, last name, gender, ethnicity, and etc. And then we also have non-participations. And that's if you've got any student who could not physically take any of our exams for either medical reason or they withdrew during the testing window, etc. Those would be non-participation reasons why a student was not able to take. And we'll talk about lots of those, and I'll show you some screenshots in our presentation. So what you're going to be doing during this fall data review process is that you're going to be looking at all this information for the following assessments. You're going to look at it for access and altering access. You're going to look at it for Kentucky summative assessment and altering Kentucky summative assessment, and then post-secondary readiness during this time. Now, we want this to be a limited effort because we know that school is opening for you and you're trying to get back to school and get ready for this upcoming school year. So if you did a lot of work back in spring rosters, it should be limited amount of work that you have to do during data review. We're going to look at some tentative timelines for this reporting for you. And we're going to start with data review because data review, as you can see, it starts August the 13th through the 21st. All of these dates are tentative for our fall reporting timeline. It will close on August the 21st at 5:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for new tickets. And what you're going to be doing during this time is looking at demographics. You're going to be looking at all your accountability, non-participations. If you need to file any of those for individual students will be the focus of this particular data review. Then once data review closes on the 21st, Nathan in our office, Nathan Rome, he's one of our data people, and he will be sending out to our district assessment coordinators, letting them know if there's still some open tickets still out there that need to be resolved. Because you want to make sure all those tickets are resolved before data review closes. Otherwise, it gets denied, and we don't want to deny any of your hard work that you went in and put for your tickets. Quality control. Once data review ends, then we move into quality control review, and that opens October 23rd. And you're going to have spreadsheets just like you do during data review. You're also going to have, you'll go into the KDE applications login and be able to get those spreadsheets and downloads from student data detail, just like you do in data review. But then another thing you're going to do during this process that's a little bit different is you're going to have a Google form that will have like a checklist for you to, mark off all the steps that you have completed during this quality control day. At this time, you're looking for big systemic issues, no individual changes can be done during quality control because that all has to be done during data review. And then once quality control day is over with, then we will move to our next one, which is mid to late November, and that's our district and media release. Data is embargoed until public release during this phase, and you want to make sure that everything is embargoed and it is not leaked out publicly anywhere. Then we move into the next phase, which is public release after that, and that'll be mid to late November. Right after you get, prior to that, you'll get the district media release, and then we move into public release. And that is tentative in November. And that is your data will be released publicly for all your schools and districts. Then we will also have our last thing is our 10-day regulatory data review. So once it is publicly reported for public release, that data could be in the school report card if it's available. And if it's not available, then it will be released in open house. And then once that happens, then we move into the last phase of fall reporting, which is our 10-day regulatory data review. And that happens in mid to late November after public release. And you'll get another chance for individual, to make individual changes to SDRR for your demographics, accountability, non-participations for your students. But keep in mind that is after it is publicly released. So data review is your time to get all those individual changes done prior to public release. And then you'll get one more chance, but keep in mind that's after it's publicly released in the school report card or open house. Understanding the data review process. What are you going to be doing at this time? You want to get we always say getting our rosters right. And the way we can do that is we've had a chance to be able to go in prior to data review and get our rosters right for access, not only in January through March when the access and alternate access window was open, but then also you had another opportunity to go in when spring rosters opened from April through June. And not only at that time you had access and alternate access, but then you have during spring rosters you had KSA, AKSA, and you also had post-secondary readiness. And that's just for the demographics for cleanup during that time for individual students. You were able to go in and request non-participations if needed, change our 100-day accountability, and then mark any accommodations if needed. And then that also will lead to our accurate reporting public release, and then that 10-day regulatory data release that follows our public release. Now, we do have priorities during data review that we want to talk about. We have 2 steps of this particular process. Step number 1, you're going to look at your demographics and your accountability during this time. And all your demographics are always based on the first day of your 14-day testing window. So make sure all demographic changes made in IC at the end of the 24-25 school year and most in SDRR can be edited now during data review. And schools and districts want to make sure that you review all the available student information one last time before it's publicly reported. So it's a very important process priority is to make sure that any changes you want to go back into SDRR and make those changes, not only to your 100-day accountability, but to check your lunch status and students with your IEPs, since they have the potential to change over time. You also want to make sure that you are also confirming ethnicity and race categories, because that can also have a issue when it comes to your subgroups. So you want to make sure all of that is correct. Tested school and grade cannot be changed at this particular time, so you want to make sure that everything is correct with not only your accommodations as well for IEP or program services plan. Keep in mind that we do have students who have a 504 plan, but those are not federally reported anywhere, and so we do not have to collect that data through SDRR. Also, you want to make sure to indicate the correct accountability for students who contribute to the school or district accountability and those who do not. You want to make sure that all that information is correct. And also the last step is also to resolve the non-participation status of students without test results, because that's an important piece to look at. All of these steps are. And step number 2 is participation. So what you're going to do is you'll go in and go to the KDE Secure Web Application login. You'll log in, and if you don't have a login, you always want to check with your WAPOC, which is your Web Applications Point of Contact in your district. That's our fancy word for just our district technology person. They're going to be the ones who are going to be able in your district who will be able to give you access to SDRR and underneath the KDE applications login to the student data detail, because you're going to need both of those. You're going to need the SDRR application, and you're also going to need the student data detail. And underneath student data detail as well, you're going to, as a DAC, you're going to download your spreadsheets to help you with this work. And then any changes, you want to make sure you always go back to SDRR and make those changes. And any changes that you make in SDRR, you also want to make sure that it is correct in Infinite Campus. So data review is a little bit different than what we did at rosters back in the spring, because during roster phase, you had to make the changes in Infinite Campus, and then it would show up in during rosters. But during data review, you can make those changes right on the screen for most of these categories. Now, like I said, here is just a little graphic to kind of show you that those spreadsheets are only available to our district assessment coordinators for download once. You'll download those spreadsheets. You'll go, like I said, you'll go in to the KDE applications login, to student data detail. And when you get to student data detail, there will be a particular thing. It's called Other. Underneath Other is where your spreadsheets will be. And it'll have the file name of SD, underscore your district name, underscore your school name, etc., and the year and data review. So we will have that particular data file when we get ready to open up SDRR on the 13th. You'll be able to go in and you'll be able to download the spreadsheets from the secure web application, and then you'll also get ready to get into SDRR. And the DAC will be the one who will distribute the appropriate spreadsheets to staff, assisting them with the data review process. And we'll have lots of communications out for you to let you know about this process as well. Now, data available in SDRR. You're going to see that, roster information had been loaded and matched to our test vendors. All of our test vendor data has been loaded. For example, if a student response booklet was submitted for a student to the vendor, or the student tested online, then the student was not on your roster, then the student was added to your rosters by KDE. And rosters must match our vendor information as well. You want to make sure if the most changes made during the roster window last spring are reflected in data review. So it's very important that you go back to your roster, your spring rosters, and those are closed at the time, but you can still go into the closed section of it, and I'll show you that in a minute, and still be able to download those rosters. You'll be able to download those student listings of all your assessments for KSA, AKSA, access, alternate access, and then post-secondary readiness. You'll also be able to get to if there was any tickets that you submitted back in the spring, you want to make sure that you have a copy of that. And then, because that way you can check to make sure that not only the new spreadsheets you've got now underneath the KDE Secure application is correct, that it is marked for those particular students, and all the data is correct as well on those spreadsheets and also in SDRR. So it's very important that, we go through these particular processes and try to get as much done, like I said, as quickly and possible as you can, because, we know that you've got school starting, and that's an important time in our schools and districts. And so we want to make sure to also look at your non-participation tickets must be submitted by the testing school. And the reason is that if the testing school and spring roster doesn't match what is in the testing school, OAA will use the testing school in PAN. Any student listing records for non-testing schools are removed from SDRR. And if a school submitted a non-part but was not the testing school, the ticket was not applied. So accountable schools cannot submit non-parts. They must work with the testing school to be the one who is able to go in and make those changes. And then we also have another example is that if you go in and if the student was non-enrolled as of the first day of your or withdrew, prior to the first day of your 14-day window, summative window, then the student will be removed from the student listing in an SDRR and not part of that reporting process. So you want to make sure that that you do take data review serious, because like I said, it's their last opportunity to review and modify student data before QC day, quality control day. Now, no scores are in SDRR except post-secondary readiness scores, and that will be in our training module number 2. So be looking for that for more information, and let's continue. Now let's look at our SDRR steps and features, because we've got I've went over a lot of things, but kind of here it kind of goes back over some of those suggested steps that I went over, and where to go, what you're going to do in SDRR, and then also what you're going to do under KDE Applications Login. Now, what you want to do, I'm going to show you some examples of what that spreadsheet is going to look like. Here's an example. This screenshot shows an example of the spreadsheets that will be available to download from the secure web applications for DACS, for KSA and AKSA. The spreadsheet will have columns for all the demographic information for your students, along with how the student participated in testing or not, any non-participations that were requested, and your 100-day accountability. Now, it will not have aggregate data included in these spreadsheets, so keep that in mind, and you'll see that all the tasks for KSA and AKSA are listed here for you. And keep in mind that we should keep this at the administrative level to look at these spreadsheets, and then also doing the work in SDRR as well. Login. Now you're going to see the login page that I was talking to you about. I told you that earlier that, you know, with your WAPOC, you want to make sure that that person has given you rights to get into the application's login page. Once you go here, you'll sign in on the right-hand side with your Microsoft account. And this is where you're going to be able to log in and get to SDRR application, and then also to your student data detail to get the spreadsheets. Now, once you log in, this is the screen that you're going to see. You're going to see up at the top, you'll see the latest announcements. It'll tell you about what is opening, and you can see that, you know, right now we're going to be doing data review, and it'll also remind you of when it's going to close. Also, it'll have assistance for you, the help button, which is up in the top right-hand corner of every screen once you log in. That's going to be an important resource for you to help you with everything that you want to need assistance with in working with a SDRR application. It is a great resource, and we're going to talk about, and I'll show you some lots of things underneath that I need help toward the end of our presentation. There's also another important thing that's going to help you besides the I need help button is the sandbox. Sandbox is one of those things that you can use for school and district staff to practice and train with without actually changing, you know, your student information. And so you always want to make sure that you're in Sandbox, and it'll have the same login that you get into SDRR will be the same login for Sandbox as well. And keep in mind that when you're practicing with that you're in Sandbox and not into the live version, because, you know, we don't want you to make any changes to your live version if you're not ready to. Another thing is an important resource is the 100-day tool. That'll help you with your 100-day accountability with your students. That's what we call on our student listings, our 100-day entity for our students. You'll also be able to do a 100-day quiz if you want to test some, there'll be some scenarios, 100-day scenarios that you can test your knowledge, you know, to kind of assist you with this particular process. And then another part that won't be for data review, but will be important for cohort, will be the cohort tool. Not only will you have when you get into the welcome page, you'll have the latest announcements, but then we're going to get down to what we're going to be working with today, which is data review. And so what you'll do is you'll notice that things that are open, it will be highlighted for you underneath open. You know, when I told you about spring rosters, you could go to the closed section here. You can toggle over there and fill in that box that says close next to it. It'll bring up your spring rosters from back in April when it opened through June. You'll be able to go back to those and be able to download that information as well, and your student listings and everything from that particular piece. Now, we do have links underneath here to be able to jump down to data review. So if you can click down to your student listings, you can also get to your ticket listings quickly from here. You can get to transfer listings. And then before data review closes, you always want to download all of the information for you. So let's see what happens when we click on data review. All right, so then it takes us down here, and on the home page, it's easily visible information that indicates lots of things for you. It'll tell you the dates that it's going to be open for data review and when it's going to open and close. It'll tell you about what is the purpose of data review. It'll have what we have on the left-hand side is SDRR task, quick links, and then tickets. And you always want to make sure that you, on the home page, It's always visible of any changes that you make from here. Always read the announcements box each time to be apprised of also maintenance times for help or resources and other changes that may be taking place during this time of data review. The tests that will be available for you will be KSA, alternate KSA. You'll also see alternate Kentucky Summative Assessment, is what we call AKSA. Kentucky Summative Summit KSA, and then you'll notice the little acronyms beside each one, and then you also have post-secondary readiness. So that way, when you get to your student listing, that's a lot of information to be able to put on there for you. So we kind of give you the shortened version in parentheses of each assessment. You also see that transfer listing. That transfer listing is going to be important for you because that's where people are going to transfer 100-day students in and out of your district on that particular one. So pay close attention to that. Make sure that you're transferring as a district assessment coordinator the 100-day entity to the right district if they're not 100-day accountable to you, and then that others are doing the same thing when they're trying to transfer them back to your district if they tested them. You will also be able to download that information underneath quick links and be able to see everything once it's all the things that you've changed. Now, one of the things I want to kind of highlight for you on that homepage is also that SDR task list, because people say, Chris, what do I do in here? Well, this is a prime example of things that you're going to be doing during data review, and it's kind of like a checklist for you. You can go through there and check those boxes, once you go through them, those tasks. And then once, right now you'll see that they're blank because, blank check boxes equals to be complete what you need to be completing. And each time that you log in and log out of SDRR, it will keep your check boxes there for the tasks that you've already completed. So especially for our new ones, but for everyone who is working at SDRR, for data review, it comes around once a year for data review. And so this is kind of your kind of task list that's optional for you to do. It's not mandatory, but if you want to be able to say, I've completed all my checklists, and I'm, because some of us are like that. We just like that check box to check it off to say, I've completed that task. Another thing is those quick links. Here are all the student listings for review. The transfer listing for students who are 100-day students to your district or another district. Make sure to download all your student listings, ticket listings, and transfer listings before SDRR closes here under downloads. And when you get to the student listings, you can go into each one of them. If you choose the first one, the data review student listings, that'll be all of your tests. That means all of these tests will be under that first one. Or you can go back and do each individual if you just want to do that as well. So keep that in mind when you're looking at that. So let's move to our tickets. Tickets are new tickets. The new tickets have been entered by your district but not yet approved or denied by OAA. Then you also have total there at the bottom. That's your entire number of tickets that have been entered into SDRR by your district. So you always want to check on those. Another thing is the updated for more information. That is, OEA needs additional information from your district to approve or deny that particular ticket. So that is an important one you always want to make sure that you're looking at because OEA needs that additional information from you. Denied. The changes that were denied by OAA will let districts know what other changes is needed, if any, on the denied tickets. Districts cannot change the denied ticket, but can open a new ticket, and denied tickets never go away. They'll always remain here. Closed tickets. tickets that were closed or canceled before being approved or denied. On the ticket, it will list who closed it and when at the top, and I'll be able to show you what that looks like as well on ticket listings. Approved. These are the tickets that have been approved in SDR either automatically or after review by OAA. So you always want to make sure that this is another important part that you pay attention to, because you don't want to leave any pending tickets out there. You don't want to leave any, more updated, more information tickets, because if you don't go in and resolve all your tickets before SDR closes, they become denied tickets. And so we don't want them to become denied tickets. So please take heed of that when you're looking at that. Now, on the student listing, you're going to have the ability to change non-participation status. Of course, grade cannot be changed in SDRR during data review. If there's an issue with any of this field for a particular student, you would have to email arcadiaassessment@education.ky.gov with the relevant information. So that way, because that's our data side, and that's their general mailbox, that if you need to change any of that. Then you want to also go into tested school. Tested school can be changed. You want to look at tested school as well. You also want to look at changes to your demographics that can be done in SDR during data review. All of these demographics, like I was talking to you about, you'll see the particular test over on the left-hand side, whether it's Access or whether it's KSA or post-secondary readiness. You'll see those acronyms on the left. You also see the name of the student, the grade, the SSID, the date of birth, gender, race, or ethnicity. You also see the 100-day entity for your students, the tested school, any non-parts that you have, went in, you'll be able to click on that and be able to, if you didn't do it in the spring and you forgot a particular student, then you'll still be able to go in and file those non-participations during this time. You'll double click on that and it'll bring you up the list of non-participations. You choose the one that is correct for that particular student. You also want to look at your lunch status and your IEP status. You also want to make sure that it does have yes in the column for IEP, so that way you can, you can go in and make sure that the right accommodation, whether the student got an accommodation on the test for IEP. Same for EL. You'll see that it's broken down for you if for yes, and then also it'll say you'll want to go in and make sure that the accommodations are correct for that particular student, whether they got accommodations or not. That's an important piece. Another thing is you can always go up here and filter by anything under data review. You would put it, you can also filter by SSID if you know a particular student that you need to make. You went to the spreadsheets and you're like, oh, I need to go to a particular student. You can put in the SSID number of the student and it'll bring it up real quick, so that way you can just go to that one student instead of going through all your students. You can also filter by their last name, first name, district, school, their grade, their lunch status, the test type. It will default to all, otherwise, unless you want to change it to the specific one that you're wanting to look at. Test. You can also filter by participation status, IEP, your accommodations, and then also your 100-day entity students. So make sure that you are looking at those. And like I said, when you go into the non-parts, double click on it and select from the drop-down list. And your focus also should be on your tested school and not on your 100-day entity because of the reporting data for public release. You also want to, make sure that you're looking at the priorities for not only your 100-day entity students, but also looking at those tested students and making sure that is correct as well, not just the 100-day entity. Now, if you're wanting to make a change, I showed you kind of a screenshot of one. If you need to make a change to demographics in SDRR, like for example, lunch status. For an example, your lunch status, you can go in and like I said, it'll say OA staff will check the information against what is Infinite Campus. So you always want to make sure Infinite Campus and SDRR match. And then you would go in and select what it was at the time. And remember, demographics are based on the first day of your 14-day window, testing window for your district. So you always want to make sure those demographics match, not necessarily what they are right now in your particular school year starting. And then if you change anything, make sure you update it here on the screen so that way it saves that information. And then once it's approved, it'll show you under the student listing. Also, let's look at uploading our medical non-participations in SDRR and what's that going to look like. Because what you want to do is you always want to make sure when you get ready, if you didn't file a non-participation, that you should have filed back for a medical non-participation in SDR during spring rosters. You can still do that now. And the way you're going to do that is on that student listing, you'll find that student, go over to the right-hand column, double click on it under non-participation, brings down the drop-down list. And for example, this is one, if you're doing one for KSA, remember for KSA, you have to also select what test the student is going to be, is a non-participation reason why, because that's AKSA and KSA are the two that you would have to select which content areas, whether it was, science, social studies, reading, etc. And those are based on the grade level, the grade of the student and the content areas and those assessments for grades 3 through 8 and 10 and 11. So you want to make sure that's the only one that you would have to select the content areas if you're selecting that for KSA and AKSA. Now, also for the medical non-participation, you also have, it'll show you medical non-participation, and then the next step it'll say, please click to browse. And, the first thing you want to do is make sure that the form, the medical non-participation form, is completely filled out and the signatures are all there. And you're probably saying, Chris, where do I find that form? Well, you'll find that form on our KDE website on our forms page. You'll be able to get to the medical non-participation, make sure that you have completed it. And then what you're going to do is you're going to save that somewhere on your computer once it is, the medical non-participation is complete and has all the signatures. And then you'll upload that. What you're going to do is you're going to choose file and be able to upload that document into SDRR, because we have to have that form when filling these. And then also the box below here, you always want to make sure that, that even though you filled out the form correctly and you've got all the information, signatures, information, any hospitalizations, etc., you've got all that filled out. You always want to put in this box from the school's perspective of what was happening during testing that caused that student not to be able to be assessed. Because that's an important box to be able to do. Now, also another thing is for our first year EL students. You'll notice that for, if you're filling that out, we do have, other non-participations for our first year ELs. All of those contents for them, they would already, if you're doing for a first year EL student non-participation request, all their content areas when you get to this part are selected by default, because it's not like AKSA where you have to select which which test the student was not able to be assessed. Because first year EL is for all the assessments. You can't do them by particular domains of listening, speaking, reading, or writing. Excuse me. You have to make sure that that is done. It's based on for all of that. And so first year EL students were expected to participate in mathematics and science of the KSA test. At the grade levels, those content areas were assessed. But you also, if this is their first year EL, you would go in and do the first year EL non-participation. So that's an important piece that sometimes people forget in SDRR as well. And you can also go in and look at your spreadsheets as well and filter, to make sure that you've, if you did it back in spring, you don't have to do it now because it's already, you did it back then. But if you haven't, you still have that opportunity, and don't forget that particular one, because that could affect your, it only takes one student to affect your, accountability in the fall for reporting. So it's important to look at each individual student during this time. Now, we do have a non-participation that happens during data review. It's called roster cleanup. And this is where a student appears on your student listing in error. They shouldn't have been there. You have to explain why the student was not deleted from the spring rosters, or why the student appears on the student listing in error in the text box when you get to that. So it's underneath non-participant. So you'll go to your student listings, find the student. If you need to clean up, do a roster cleanup, that'll be one of the ones under non-participations that you'll double click on. And so let's take a look at what that looks like for a certain test. And remember, non-participations are all by test type. And so I've given you two different examples because not every non-participation is the same for each assessment. You'll notice that here for our first one for KSA, that we have first year EL non-participation. For any student who is first year EL, they took the math and science for participation, the grade levels, but to be excluded from accountability, you have to also have an approved first year EL non-participation for those students. Also, you have student that was expelled without services. We do have students who were expelled during our testing window and could not be assessed. There's also the medical non-participation that I just showed you previously, and as well as the roster cleanup. You'll see that here. And then the student was withdrew after the testing window began because maybe the student either moved out of state or moved to another country, or it could be, another withdrawal reason why the student, but that would have been after the testing window began. That would be that non-participation. But now let's take a look at what our access one looks like. It has some of the same ones. It has, medical, it has a roster cleanup, and it has student withdrew or student was expelled. But then we have initially fully English proficient. That means the student should not have been tested with access because they exited off of the screener. That's what we call initially fully English proficient. Or we had a student who, what we call redesignated fully English proficient. That means they should not have been tested with access because they tested out the prior year and should not have been tested with access this current year. So we do have that student redesignated fully English proficient off of access or alternate access. So now let's look at our ticket listing, because I told you I'd get us to our ticket listing. So any ticket that you want to take a look at, you can also look up at the top and filter by SSID number, their first name, last name, their district school, etc. It'll come up. And then you can automatically go right up here. So like I don't have to go through my whole entire list to find one. I could put the SSID number up and it can pull it up for me quickly, either by test or by, their last name or first name. And then I can also go into my ticket listings because, I filed, my tickets, and I can see I can go in and look at my tickets at any time as well on my student listings, but I can also go into the ticket listing and be able to see the ticket history on my students as well, and be able to edit underneath the edit ticket. And I can also see who submitted my tickets, the ticket test type, if it was when it was updated, the ticket status, whether it was a new ticket or it's it's been approved or it's still pending. So always take a look at that, and you can always go back and over here on the left hand side and update and view the ticket status as well, and be able to make any like I said, and you can go in and edit those tickets as well for your students if you forgot to add something and you want to go in, for an example, medical non-participation, and I'm like, oh, I uploaded the form, but then I forgot to go in and maybe, put what was happening at the school's perspective. Or maybe I didn't upload my form. I can go back in and edit that and be able to upload that into SDRR. So always look at this ticket listing, and you can always look at the status up here and filter by those statuses as well for all of your tickets. So, you can see tickets multiple ways. You can see them on the home screen. You can see them on your ticket listings. You can also see them on your student listings to be able to file those tickets and then update that information. So there's multiple ways to get to your tickets. Now, I do have some SDRR resources for data review for you. That's important. And like I showed you, that I need help button. I'm telling you, anything. Look at all of this information that we give you. We give it to you on the assessments, also any frequently asked questions for you, determining your 100-day students, also looking at, step-by-step instructions for you. All the assessments are also up at the top for you as well. And you can go into each one of those to be able to give you more information. Please click on that. And like I said, it's going to be on every screen of SDRR. Another thing is I also want to not only talk about, that the 100-day tool, but, to get access is your WAPOC. And I've also linked who your all the list of alphabetical by district of your WAPOCs. You can go in by the district, click on your particular district, and you'll be able to see who your WAPOC is to give you permissions to SDRR. Also, you're going to have this PowerPoint and video to help you with this process. You also want to go in and download those student listings from Spring Rosters, like I said, in that closed section. Also, you want to go into the that's open now for data review. When it opens, you want to go into student data detail and download those spreadsheets to make sure that, any changes that you need to make, that you make those in SDRR. Also, there's that 100-day anonymous quiz and 100-day tool, and then Sandbox. They're all linked for you from the screen here to help you so you don't go, Chris, where is all this information? Now, I do want to talk about those step-by-step instructions because, like I said, Nathan in my office, Nathan Rome, he's the guru when it comes to like our SDRR and updating the I need help information as well. And he's done a lot of work to make sure that you've got a lot of resources to help you with SDRR. And underneath that I need help button is step-by-step instructions of how do I go in and mark accommodations? How do I go and change the 100-day entity for data review? How do I go in and edit an open ticket? That I need to go in and change? How do I download or export, all the information? And also how can I download everything to Excel or a PDF or a CSV file? And then also to request non-participations. So these are step-by-step instructions underneath that I need help button that helps you with SDRR with all these tasks that I just kind of walked you through. But also it is not only it gives you step-by-step instructions that you can also print out if you want to while you're going through this process, but it also gives you the screenshots that kind of walk you through those steps as well. Now, here is if the wrong form was submitted for a medical non-participation, and schools and districts can upload the correct one, but a form into SDRR by scanning it to the computer, and you can upload it again in the same test ticket without creating a new one by choosing the file button. And if there are more than one form to upload, then the school district staff, they can click on the upload more documents and choose that file as well. So like I said, there's lots of things to help you, when you're doing this process. Here's an example of step-by-step instruction for how to change my 100-day entity. And when you click on it, it'll have step-by-step instruction. It also has links to the tools for 100-day entity. And then it'll have screenshots as well for you while you're working with this in SDR. Another important resource for you is the SDRR Data Review Office Hour. We hold those with all of our assessments. And when we're doing with SDRR, we did it back in the spring with spring rosters, and we always do it for data review as well. This will be your opportunity to be able to go in and ask us questions about the functionality of SDRR, anything you want to know about accountability, specific questions about that. But it's not for specific student information. It's for general information about SDRR. For any questions, you can always contact us in the Office of Assessment Accountability. You'll see that for our particular Division of Assessment Support, you'll be able to see the phone number and our general mailbox dacinfo@education.ky.gov. Other data issues and issues with questions that you have, and also with cohort, is our data side, and that's kdassessment@education.ky.gov. This does conclude the Fall Reporting Data Review QC. If you have any questions, make sure to feel free to contact us. And I do want to thank you all for your time and for watching this particular presentation. I do think it's important that that you do take the time out from your busy schedules for the beginning of the school year to watch this to kind of assist you with your work in data review that's going to be opening up for you soon on August the 13th through the 21st. So thank you again, and have a great day.